So good morning and welcome to this edition of Lithuanian Brands Best Practice webinar series. My name's Darren Coleman. I'm the founder and managing consultant of branding agency Wavelength Marketing. It's also my pleasure and privilege to be the honorary counsel for Lithuania here in Birmingham, UK. This morning, I'm delighted to welcome Egli from the Lithuania Brand Unit. Egli is a senior advisor. Egli, good morning, labas rytas.
Good morning, labas rytas.
So thanks for taking the time to join me on the show today. I'd like to start by providing some context. So can you maybe tell me a bit about who the Lithuanian brand is built for and what services sit under the Lithuanian brand?
Hello. The brand has to benefit the country and its people, and it's the main task and the main goal. It is a question how to achieve it, and it seems that so many countries are still looking for the answer to this question. There is no single model how to develop a country brand, and all countries go their own way. So that's Lithuania. Answering to your question, who is it for? I want to say that speaking about the users of the brand, we have to have in mind institutions in the first place and the agencies under the ministries. And we all know that this is a very powerful channel. And if we act coordinating our actions by promoting Lithuania abroad, I think I'm sure we can succeed. Of course, we have to engage later businesses. We have to engage academia. We have to engage ordinary people to make our brand work. This is a huge challenge, and lots and lots of actions have to be done. Speaking about the audiences, the strategy is a B2B strategy. It's a very practical, it's a very functional strategy. And the main pillar of the strategy is economy. So we want, of course, when we started the strategy, we knew one thing. We were determined about one thing. We will not go for nicely sounding slogans, and we were determined we will not go for logos. We were looking actually for strong areas that would benefit the country in the future, and we wanted to focus on these areas and our goal was to communicate, to organize the communication of the country based on these areas. As I mentioned before, economy is the main pillar in the strategy, and we will speak about the country in this context as a country for solutions. It means that Lithuania is strong enough to be a good partner, to be a reliable partner in taking on global challenges and solving global problems. Besides economy, other areas, culture, governance, and talent promotion area we identified in the strategy.
Sure. So it sounds like you've had your hands full because you're dealing with a variety of stakeholders, which increases the complexity of your job. So you're building a nation brand for a variety of stakeholders, which means that nation branding is far more complicated. The point you mentioned about trust is key, so that people can see, other countries can see Lithuania as a trusted partner. And I'm glad that you drew the distinction between a brand not being a logo or a slogan, because clearly it's not. So if we could move on to the Lithuanian brand, then can you tell me a bit about the brand in a bit more detail, please?
As I mentioned before, 4 main areas were identified, and these 4 areas were connected into one communication line, which is called Open for Co-Creation. Saying that Lithuania is an open, collaborative, and cooperative country, we want to send the world the message that we are good, reliable, and trustful partners, and we are ready to take on global challenges with other countries by solving problems the world is facing today. Being a small country, a compact country, we feel that we have enough competencies, that people are driven by fantastic ideas to change the world, and that Lithuania have can benefit the world by solving the problems, by offering solutions for the problems the world faces now.
Sure. So you mentioned the notion of co-creating. Can you provide a bit more detail for how you arrived at that idea and possibly how you'll use co-creation as a part of the Brand Lithuania strategy?
By working on the strategy, we went through many documents. We had 11 discussions. We had countless interviews with the stakeholders. So we involved so many people. We involved so many people in preparation of the strategy. And today we feel we have reached the consensus. We all want to communicate one message to the world, and we all agree that economy is the main goal and pillar of the strategy. We also decided that Lithuania, being a small and compact country, but at the same time a very dynamic country, we all have this in our genes, this will and desire to do something together with others. Many countries actually present themselves in foreign countries, praising themselves and saying they are the best, they are the strongest, they are the most advanced in these or those areas. So we decided to choose another way and stay and focus on things, on areas in which we can cooperate with the world. But it's important also to mention that Lithuania has really huge potential in many areas, and we say we are good as partners. We are good. We have already in Lithuania strong ecosystems where investors can find also professionals and world-class talents, and regulation basis is very advanced in Lithuania. So we say, come here and cooperate with us.
Sure. So you mentioned that your approach to the brand development was very data-driven. So you conducted interviews and other forms of research. Is it possible to talk us through that in a little bit more detail? How did you go about doing that?
In 2019, we conducted a huge survey research of reputation and awareness of Lithuania. This was the first step to collect data on the current situation of Lithuania's image in foreign countries. Later we organized 11 discussions with the main stakeholders and experts. 17 interviews with public sector's representatives. So the strategy is really backed by data, and not so many people question today about the direction of the strategy, about the areas which we identified in the strategy, because it's really backed by data, and there is not so much how to say area for speculation that this strategy could be somehow politicized, or that people would say we don't care about the strategy because it was developed by the old previous government. So involving experts, involving people into the preparation of strategy We have a very sustainable, coherent document that should be relevant and actual for the next decade.
Yeah, it sounds like you've taken a lot of sensible steps there in terms of a data-driven approach to building your brand. I think a lot of other brands would do well to have their strategies informed by data instead of personal opinion and preferences. So looking forward then, how are you going to be taking this Co-Create strategy forward, and what does the future hold for Brand Lithuania?
It's a good question, but alongside the strategy, we also developed a 10 years action plan, and it's actually a very ambitious plan. And we very much look forward to implementing this plan. If we implement the plan, the change in Lithuania's image, in the change in Lithuania's perception abroad would happen, I think.
Sure. Okay. And is the strategy slightly nuanced and fine-tuned for the domestic market and internationally, or will the whole strategy going forward focus around Co-Create and that core brand concept?
Could you please repeat again the question?
So going forward, will the strategy be slightly fine-tuned depending on the stakeholders, whether it's domestic or whether it's international? Or will everything that Lithuania is doing focus around this concept or this core idea of Co-Create?
It's a good question. It's a good question, actually. Lithuania already started using the co-creation concept, and we cannot control the process now. There was a huge conference organized by Marketing Association. It's called Lima in Lithuania, and they used co-creation concept for the conference. It's a kind of bottom-up process now going on in Lithuania, and we need to decide whether we allow people to use Co-Create in every situation, because actually every situation is about co-creation. We co-create with you now as well, but in the strategy we identified 4 areas, and we speak through this 4 areas about Lithuania and the co-creation concept. So it's still to be decided, but I would say for the people to make the brand work, it's of course it would be the easiest way to let people to use the concept Co-Create as wide as possible, but to achieve the goals that we want to achieve in foreign markets, of course, we should stay in the frame which is in the strategy. That we have 4 areas, and we say that Lithuania in the field of economy is a country for solutions. In the field of culture, it's a country to discover. In the field of talent attraction, it's an open place to grow. And in the field of governance, it's an open country for public transformation.
So am I right in saying then that the concept of Co-Create provides some scope or parameters, and that you're happy for people to contribute to the creation of the Lithuanian brand within, and as long as it's staying within the scope of what's acceptable, then you're happy for an element of control and responsibility to lie with Lithuanian people and other people that engage with the brand? Is that a fair summary?
I think the ideal model would be if people of Lithuania would use the brand like emphasizing that Lithuania is an open place for solution. Mm-hmm. Not only using this brand in a very simple everyday situation, calling each situation co-creation. So, but it's still a very long way to go. And in 2021, we plan lots of lots of sessions with institutions just to introduce to them the brand and the frame in which we all will operate.
Sure. Yeah, brands are always work in progress, and I think the complexity of a nation brand amplifies the challenges that need to be addressed. But that's really interesting. Thanks a million for your time, Egli. I'm really grateful that you've taken the time to come along and talk us through the brand Lithuania and the co-create concept. So you've been watching, excuse me, Lithuanian Brands Best Practice webinar series. Thanks a million, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Ačiū.